The Rise of Skywalker is deeply flawed in my opinion. I have not paid any money to see it, as I am someone that believes that the past two movies in this trilogy have been pretty bad compared to previous films, and I did not want to monetarily support The Rise of Skywalker and really what Disney has done to Star Wars. I know a lot of other people feel the same way, and there are also people that disagree with my opinion, which is fine, and they believe that the movie is good, and they did go to monetarily support it. And opening weekend is obviously one of the most important times for a movie. That is how projected sales figures are formed, and you can obviously judge reactions, how people have been enjoying it. But now that the opening weekend is over and The Rise of Skywalker has not done exactly what Disney wanted it to do, it sounds like, we really can tell fan reactions. The movie has not failed miserably. Not as miserably as Solo did, but to end the Skywalker saga this way hasn't really been great. At the box office, it made right over $400 million globally, which is a bit less than the other two movies in this trilogy. The Last Jedi made $450 million, and The Force Awakens made right under $500 million. So these numbers are still fantastic, but you can see the slow decline. And with those numbers come reviews. Fan reviews, critic reviews, and something appears to be going on with Rotten Tomatoes reviews. Now, Rotten Tomatoes isn't the most reliable source, as they've been shady in the past, and most likely will continue to do shady things to alter review scores, especially for huge box office films like The Rise of Skywalker. Usually reviews start being posted, and they start off high since the first people to go and see the movies and to review them are usually fans and people that absolutely cannot wait to see these movies, and then the numbers slowly drop. Now, The Rise of Skywalker came out of the playing fields and had a very bad critic score, which was sitting at a 55%, so you would expect the fan rating to be very similar, or at least I did, since the whole reception for the movie has not been completely great. Of course, there are people that really enjoyed what they were doing and enjoyed the direction that they were going, and then there are also people, a large majority of people, that did not think what they were doing with the movie and what they were doing was good. But of course, the first scores went up, and the first fan scores went up, and those were posted at a 86% audience score. And again, I thought that this would drop. I personally thought it would drop to around a 70% because there are so many people that do enjoy it, and of course there is a backlash with this movie and people that do not enjoy it. And I thought that that was a fair number. 70% would be fair, but since that day, the score was posted with 800 reviews. It has only changed twice. It went once up to an 89%, and within 24 hours of that score, it dropped back down to an 86%, and this seems very unlikely, but it has not moved since then, despite the tens of thousands of added reviews. Now, back when Captain Marvel was released, conveniently, Rotten Tomatoes released a new system where only verified reviewer scores counted, and this is, of course, another layer of review manipulation. Steam did something very similar this year, where if too many negative reviews are left on a game at once, they mark them all during that time frame as a review bomb, and they hide them behind menu options, so of course the normal person looking through Steam and looking at reviews don't see them, and they really don't count. Now, Rotten Tomatoes has continuously changed how their user scores are calculated, and it continues to look suspicious going into The Rise of Skywalker, where it does appear that the reviews are frozen. It's obvious that Disney wants this movie to do good, and they want it to have amazing reviews, and you may not believe that Rotten Tomatoes and Disney are affiliated in any way, but I may surprise you. Rotten Tomatoes was purchased back in 2016 by Fandango, and if you do not know who the Fandango vice president is, his name is Paul Yanover. But before he became the vice president for Fandango, he was affiliated with, you can guess, Disney. He was an executive vice president and managing director of Disney Online. And it may sound like a wild theory, but I personally do believe that someone affiliated with Disney, someone that works with Disney, could have made a call to this person and asked for a favor. It's Disney we're talking about here. We're not talking about an indie company, like an indie game developer. We're talking about Disney, a massive, massive company. Even if it is only for the first few weeks, maybe until the new year starts, they asked for the reviews to be frozen and the numbers to be frozen, but seeing how long the score has been frozen, it honestly is believable to me at this point. I mean, we are sitting at 53,495 reviews with an 86% score that has only went up by one number and dropped by one number, and yet the same thing goes for the critic score. It has sat at a 55%, and originally it was around 50 reviews, and now it is at 413 reviews, and that has not moved at all. Obviously, there is a big discrepancy here in numbers, but even if we look at past Star Wars movies like The Last Jedi, there wasn't as large of a discrepancy as there is here. I mean, this just seems so suspicious to me. It has conveniently sat at an 86%, and normal moviegoers that maybe are bringing their children to these movies, or maybe just want to see something random over the holiday weekend, they are going to look at Rotten Tomatoes, because when you look up reviews and a critic score, Rotten Tomatoes is the first website to come up, and that is one of the most trusted to a lot of normal moviegoers. If you have not followed what is going on with Star Wars, and really you haven't seen the spoilers, you might think an 86 is great. Yeah, the critics rating isn't too great, but the audience score is what matters. These are the fans that like this movie, so we might as well go and see it. And of course, that gets people to spend their money. I honestly was expecting this score to change. I thought a couple of days ago, maybe the people that were discussing it, were thinking too fast. It was opening weekend, it might stay the same, but we are a week into this movie being released and it still hasn't really changed. It just seems suspicious in my opinion, but feel free to let everyone know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Do you believe that Disney has called in a favor and scores are frozen, or do you think it's a real rating and it has just stayed the same since the second day of release? I'm curious to know what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed this video, please make sure to give it a like, and of course if you did not, make sure to give it a dislike. I appreciate your support either way, but I will talk to you all again in the next video really soon.